Hey guys, it's your girl Kash, and we are back for the business of pleasure. But you know what? We're coming in swinging heavy because it's Masturbation May, and if it was ever a time to talk about getting off, it's right now. But I want to kind of throw a little spin on this one today because we always talking about the usual ways to get off, but there's more than one way to get yours in this. And so in order to do that, I had to call up one of my good sis who I know was going to come in here, was going to give it to y'all, have y'all literally, this is going to be your face the whole episode. But if she catches your intention and you get intrigued by it, I need you to go and check out whatever she got going on because you're going to need to go tap in with her. Now, that is my girl, Mistress Marley. Hey girl.
Hey, girl.
We're going to have a girl conversation to a degree because let me tell you, I was thinking about this so hard. I was like, I want Marley on the pod, but I knew I wanted to be like extremely strategic about it because I feel like you have a lot of areas that could overlap, and I'm gonna let you in my brain and tell you where it went, and then we could just flow through the talk. But I remember when I came across you the first time, you were in your 20s when you started out.
Yeah, I'm 32 now.
Yeah. And so normally, when you come across women in like their early to mid 20s, they don't have they're still figuring out certain things about themselves. And so when you come across people who are in that phase, who you can see, they have a clear idea of who they are, and what they're doing, that's always going to catch an attention. So that was the first thing about you that I noticed, because I think it was like a Forbes article or New York Times. It was one of them. I know you had one of them people in the street downtown, and I was just like, I like her. I like the energy.
That's
right?
An Aquarius thing. We already know who we are from birth.
Really?
So
you feel like you've always known yourself?
I've always known who I was. Like, I don't think I've ever had a moment where I'm like, who am I? Like, I've just always been so sure.
So okay. Obviously, I always say to people, I never raised my hand when I was 5 and was like, I want to talk about sex when I grow up. But like, at what point for you did you figure out that a part of your identity was going to take you down a more independent route, less working for others route, more so into like, I'm going to build my own shit and I'm going to have my life be exactly what I want it to be?
I think that's always been since I was like, I want to say middle school, maybe like 8th grade. So I've always just been a manifestor. I used to even write in journals back then about how I just knew my life was going to be off the beaten path, not working for anyone, just doing things on my own. Like even back in the day when Tumblr was a big thing.
Oh my God.
A lot of people don't know the backstory of Mistress Marley, but I was big on Tumblr.
Really?
In the fashion segment.
Okay.
So I lived in a small town in Greenville, North Carolina, but I was always following Tumblr people from New York and stuff like that. So I would take that style and translate it in my small town. So everybody in my town just thought I was
always like, yeah.
It was like, who is this person or whatever? So that, like, my background has always been visible. I've always been a visible person. I've never been internet shy or anything of that nature. So I think just from a young age, I want to say that was maybe around 12, 13 years old. Like, I just knew that.
You just knew you was going to be a bit that. And it's funny because I've always known I wasn't going to work for people.
Yeah.
Like, I have never, I think most of the time, if you was a kid and you was one of those people who didn't do good with following directions, sometimes
that was me.
I was definitely, I was like, yeah, I'm not born to be under anyone's control.
Yeah. And you know what? You're a Pisces. So as Pisces, you know, they like to call Pisces delusional and that y'all live in dreamland, but y'all are able to make y'all dreams come to reality. So
if you could put the right stuff behind it.
Exactly.
Yes, because I have met some Pisces who had me like, you wasting our good stuff. But you're right about that, because it's like, to me, I think what allows me to be a disruption is that I believe the unbelievable. Like people say these things, I'm like, why? Make it make sense. I'm going this way.
Yeah.
So I guess I've always felt like I went against the grain. So it didn't surprise me that I ended up here, but it still is always interesting because I feel like every person I know who step into any lane in the pleasure industry or whatever, and there's a lot of wellness in that too, because but there's something about you that at some point in your life you just knew, like, the grain is not gonna, I'm going against it. I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't stand conforming. It's not.
No, but I feel like if you look at the most successful people in the world, none of them were really conformists.
Yeah.
So it's like anybody trying to teach you to go down the pathway to conformity is clearly someone who does better under a system. I don't
either.
The only system I do well under, because I know I know in the background My husband is there. Only system I do well with is like, hey, what time is the cleaner coming? Hey,
stuff
what
like
time?
that.
Yeah,
Stuff that you set up.
I love those
right?
systems.
Yeah. The things that work for me, I love to set up.
I
Anything
love
against
those.
me, I'm like, no.
No, thank you. This doesn't feel right. Okay, so, but just kind of, you just took your seat back there? You did? That's what you did? That's crazy. See? You know, Chris is in the background, y'all. He on the cameras today. He's getting his little crash course and learning these things. But you know, I'm gonna be throwing subs because he can't say nothing about it back there. So, you know. But yeah, I had wrote down this because I really wanted to, when was the pivot? Like, when did you pivot from, like, I know you said when you were in middle school, that's when you kind of really knew, but at what point did you was like, I'm stepping full-fledged into like this whole lifestyle?
So I had moved here for grad school to New York for grad school in 2017. I was still in fashion.
Okay.
You know, moving to New York, I didn't know anybody. Little country girl in New York. I'm just like, I gotta make money. I gotta survive because I cannot move back to Greenville.
Really?
So I was like, I need to make money. So I was working first I was working in visual merchandising. So I used to do the window displays for Bloomingdale's and Topshop and all those stores or whatever. And then I was like, this still is not paying enough. It's too heavy on your body. Like, I don't know if people that know about those jobs, but you're constantly on ladders. You're carrying heavy things and things of that nature.
My sister did it for a little while, and I didn't realize how much really went into it until she did that. Yeah.
And then while I was working those jobs, I was dating in New York. You know, I was like, oh, these New York niggas got a little bit more flair than these Southern niggas, you know? So I was like, oh, okay. So I was also starting to like, I want to say in college, back in North Carolina in undergrad, I was exploring my sexuality a little more there. But it was still something where I felt like when I was being sexual with men, it was still doing things that they wanted to do.
Yep.
Right? It wasn't much so like, okay, well, no, I want this, and this. I still wasn't really speaking up for myself in that aspect. So when I came here to New York and started dating men that had a little bit more flair to them, a little bit more free spiritness to them than the traditional down south, I started to explore more things and go into more things. And one time I was just on Craigslist looking for another side job. And I see a listing for a hostess at a swingers club. Never been to a swingers club before. None of that stuff. But I was like, you know what? It's a job. They only want me to walk around and serve champagne and lingerie. I'm like, I can do that. I mean, I put on lingerie just to take Instagram
just to be
pictures.
fun.
Why not? Right?
Yeah.
So I went there and I saw the whole world of it. And it was at a swingers club that was nothing but, you know, old white people.
Yep. Why is it always that? They the most organized.
Yo. And at the time, I think I was 23 at the time. So I was still fairly young. And as I was looking around, I was like, we need this for like black people and like black people my age. So that was pretty much my pivot of just coming into this lifestyle from like observing, and for me just wanting to fill what I felt like was a gap at the time, because I still wasn't knowledgeable of other groups, right? Like I wasn't knowledgeable of all the other black groups that did exist.
Yes,
but
because it wasn't. I don't think then there was one place you could go to find them. I think Facebook groups was like the closest.
Yeah,
I want to say for me it was like 2014 the first time I got in front of a swing group. Yeah, but I agree with you. Like I don't feel like until someone invited me in, I really didn't have an idea about what it actually looked like. You hear about it in movies and shows, stuff like that. But like being and seeing is a whole another thing. Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So let me spin the block real quick, because you said something I found interesting. So you feel like the men in New York's free spirit was more cohesive with the way you felt about like your dating experience versus the more traditional aspects. Do you feel like they were closed-minded in the sexual realm?
Oh, definitely. I really feel like they were very closed-minded down south. Like even at my HBCU, my homegirls and stuff I had there, like when we would share stories about who we had sex with, or like girl, I was with so-and-so, and the stuff I would say that I felt like didn't seem crazy, they would be like,
tilting the head.
What? You did what? You had handcuffs. I'm like, handcuffs is basic. Like, they're like, you had handcuffs. You did this. I'm like, that's crazy.
That's simple.
So when I came up here to New York, and my first partner I had up here was into all that without me even having to really like introduce it. So I was like,
complete opposite. So it's so funny you say that, because not just me, but I have another friend who also felt a similar thing. But I dated a guy once a while ago when he moved to New York, but he was from the South. So I met him here, but he still had like that stuff on him or whatever the case is. And it was always that area. Like whenever we try to have even conversations about it, I've always just been this free spirited and discussion about it. Like if I'm with someone, I want to feel like I could talk about
anything,
the things. And like you said, it'd be the most simple things. Like you not even vanilla, you like plain Greek yogurt. Like, like
right,
I
you
mean,
talking and they like, whoa. I'm like, what you whoaing for? Like, it's not,
yes,
like, it's
exactly.
Not,
but
I haven't even brought out all my tricks yet. Like,
you doing that for handcuffs. So we closed my closet.
right.
But yeah, I found it so crazy because I've always been intrigued. Like there was this Access cable channel, like when I was younger, that had this show. It was a white woman show, Robin Bird. And I was so many people that I know from up here, we all knew about her because it was like that 2 a.m. show that came on. It was wild, but you didn't have to have like pay-per-view or HBO to watch it. So she used to have all the kind of kink BDSM stuff on her show. Of course, like you said, the one anybody of color, but I was still like intrigued, like watching them stand and step on people and all that. And I remember being really young, like, and I was in military school, so it probably didn't help that I had the drill sergeant in me too. Now these things are starting to tell me more about myself now than it did then, because now I'm realizing, okay, it probably already was, it was there, because I naturally just told people what to do really well.
Right.
So that was something I did. But I will say this. I think that, and I want to ask you from your perspective, I started out leaning heavily, solely dominant. And then at some point, it kind of felt like since the rest of my life already had me in charge everywhere, there would be times where I'm like, I'm tired of that. But I realized I couldn't give that to any old person. So I'm curious for you, not necessarily subs, but if it's a boyfriend or something like that, how does that dynamic work out for you?
I'm submissive in my relationships.
Ain't that crazy?
I am.
I'm
I'm not extremely submissive.
Not
right?
like run over me, but it's like,
like I'm not, and like I'm still very much so princess. Right? So kind of like a princess to daddy type role.
Yep.
Like I know that daddy's going to lead everything and tell us where we need to go and take care of things.
And I get to be pretty and show.
But also in that sense, as a princess, if I don't like something, I'm like, I'm not doing that. Let's do, like, I'll still suggest something. Like, no, I don't like, so I have a little bratty element about me as well. But I still, like, in my personal relationships, I am submissive.
I can see. So you know the funny thing about that is that's another thing I'm starting to see show up. The only person who I can say there's only one person who I know that doesn't toggle with, and that is Mistress Unknown. We'll talk to y'all, see her soon, because she's just one of those people who is like, nope, no. But same thing. Other people subs, no problem. But in my relationship, I have a preference to it. But what is it? What is it that you said? I like a lead from the bottom, or what'd you say?
Top from the bottom.
Yeah, he always tell you saying that top. Because I'm like, go with the flow, and he'll be like, do this, and I'm like, but again, brattiness, and sometimes I have to check myself and be like, is what he telling me right now really hurting me, or is it good for me? All right, fine.
I'm the type that feel like, I just always feel like I have a better suggestion. So like, I'll give the better suggestion, not in like a crazy way. I'll be like, wouldn't you just rather do like,
this?
Yeah. So it's like, I'm softly topping from the bottom, but I want it to be my way. Like,
but I feel like it's a good to have that balance, because one thing I always say to anyone, too much of anything can be one way, right? So if you're always in a position where you are in the authority, it's like, at what point do you get to just sit back and experience to not have to think about it, to not have to choose, to not have to decide, to have input, strong suggestions.
Yeah.
Strong suggestions. But yeah, I pray y'all didn't hear that, because you know what? But yeah, I feel like sometimes, like you said, like, but maybe you should try it this way. I think women, just as a general, we have a way of thinking about how to approach things that men don't. And sometimes our way is better, y'all.
Yeah.
Just a little better.
But there are times, like, there's this one video I saw where it was just like, I want the type of relationship where my man, I don't have to do nothing. He just leads me, and they're walking on the street and he's just turning her head, make sure she's turning the right way. Like, I don't even want to be able to see what's coming for me. He knows how to move me. Yeah.
That's how I feel like when I'm in a car. I feel like somebody's going to catch me at a light one of these days with their camera, and I'm going to end up on somebody's TikTok because I just be like free to the world. Like, you can't tell me that anything else exists in that moment but me. But like, I only am like that. I turn off my hypervigilance a little bit when he's with me.
Right.
But when he's not, I'm on mine, like I'm on point. So I definitely get it. So, okay. Now the question I do want to ask you, right? speaking of, like you said, that exploration you do in college and as you're coming into your womanhood deeper and deeper and deeper, I want to ask you, did you feel like your peer aged friends, females or whatever that might be around you, confidence is something I'm hearing come up a lot lately. Like I have grown women who are like, I wish I was this, or I wish I was that. And I'm starting to realize like how so many of us might be great, might be powerful, might be all these things, but somehow like you don't exude it. Because I think confidence is something that radiates. Like it's not, I'm not going to just say I'm confident. You're going to see it.
Right.
But I find that a lot of women in their 20s, even their early 30s, they still haven't found that, that peak of their confidence that kind of lets them show up in a different way. For you, what has that looked like in womanhood? Like, have you always been confident? That's the first thing. And has there ever been times when you felt like that area of you had to do some work to kind of like boost yourself back and get you to the next level?
I think I've always just been confident. Like when I try to think back on any times where I didn't feel confident or didn't feel so sure, I can't think of a time. Like there might have been times where I was more cautious about something before I did it or got into it. But I knew like once I was into it, I'm going to kill it. Right. So I've never had any doubts about myself of like, might not work out for me. This might not be a thing for me. Like, oh God, what are people going to think of me when I go up there? Because like even in school, all through school, I'm the child doing this the whole time. Pick me. I want to read. Like, I want to go to the front and read in front of everybody. Like, stage fright does not know me. I don't know what that is.
Do you think that has something to do with the way you were raised, or just like?
I don't know, because I grew up in a family of 6, so 3 boys, 3 girls. I was the middle. I felt kind of to myself a lot. Like,
interesting.
Yeah, being the middle child syndrome. Felt like to myself. Felt like I wasn't really like. I won't say as close because I am close to my siblings, but like I just felt like they didn't get me.
But that makes a lot of sense because I find that for a lot of children who are in the middle, like you create your own stage and you have to own it, because there's always a lot of attention to the youngers, and then there's a certain responsibility on the olders, and those middle people kind of coast through. But it's like you get a little bit more freedom to form your identity without, all of the other stuff around it. So that doesn't actually sound that strange. Okay. And so what do you say to a woman who approaches you, wanting to learn from you, wanting to understand? Because we're going to get into what you do more. But how do you, when you see a woman come across you like that and she's lacking confidence, what sort of advice would you give that woman?
So, I mean, for anyone that approaches me like that and I can see the lack of confidence, I usually just say to them, like, you have to know who you are before you get into this line of work. Because there are going to be so many people or so many even submissives projecting onto you who they think you are, right? Like, because some people will see my pictures and before even asking what I am, what's my persona, what's my kinks, what's my fetishes, they automatically start putting labels on me, right? She's this, she's that, whatever. And I'm just like...
What you find do they assume about you?
Sometimes they'll like... I've had subs... say stuff like, oh, you seem so like sweet. Like online they'll be like, you don't seem as like sadistic as most doms, because most doms have this like, some doms have the strong stereotypical pictures and like whatever, and they'll be like, oh, but like in person you really whooped my ass, you really beat me up. I was like, yeah, I did that. Now what? But just like any woman coming up to me, I just always say like, and I have taught plenty of classes on my Patreon that are confidence based before I even teach you about the kinks and fetishes, like who are you? And I try to tell women like, be yourself. I think so much in this industry, it's about, all right, we create the persona, right? But then we forget who we are. Like Mistress Marley is still who I am in my everyday life. I'm still this confident person. I still know what I want. Also, within being a dom, I can be funny. I can have a good time. I can laugh. I can joke. I can do all that.
It's not just serious. It's not just being,
So I tell them like, just really just be yourself. When you're yourself, everything else will come across authentic. Because when you try to be something else, you'll get lost. You can get lost very easily in this industry. Try to copy what you see all the other doms do. And then you're just like, then it becomes a thing where you don't even enjoy it. It's like, I don't even know who I am. So.
Yeah, because you can lose an identity and creating an identity. And I don't think that just is specific to the women who get into it, because I've seen it happen with the guys too.
Yeah.
Where you see this strong presence of how they show up in their work or how they show up in that. But outside of that, they're still figuring out who they are. And the crazy thing about it is I think it creates a lot of imposter syndrome because now you're so used to creating a persona that now people are trying to feel like, what is your real personality? Like, who are you really?
Exactly.
So I agree with you on that. And I always tell, and I say it over and over, competence don't exist without certainty. You really have to know who you are. And I find that you also have to be open to the evolution of whoever that is.
Exactly.
Because I do feel I've met a lot of people, and even, you know, I know coming through my own womanhood, I'm not the same woman I was a decade ago. Same. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I like her. I still like her.
Exactly.
But she's different now. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Now, the second segment that we have is called Adult Edutainment, because it's designed to entertain y'all while we give y'all a little bit of education. So I know that we've been talking, and some of y'all who are still, I'm going to say a little more vanilla, may not understand as much about the whole power dynamics, the whole aspects of BDSM, kinks, fetishes, dominant, submissives, or big letters, little letters, however you want to classify, right? But for you, how do you define dominance?
Oh, wow. Dominance, to me, it's a presence.
I agree.
And it's a big presence, and dominance is also a big responsibility.
And that's the part most people don't think comes with it.
And I tell my students all the time, I say, you know, when you are walking into a session, because I teach pro domination, and for those that don't know, pro domination is dominatrix that get paid for what they do. And I tell them, when you walk in a session, whether it's a dungeon, a hotel, wherever you're having your session, the submissive is already looking towards you for instructions. They're looking towards you for even just simple instruction. Where's the bathroom? Where's this? Where's the water? Like just the simple things. And as the dominatrix, you are leading that scene. So that dominance and that presence also comes with responsibility, because you're setting the tone
for what this is going to look like
for the entire thing. Even when I just have my events, my women events, people are looking at me as the dominant presence in there, right? And I'm setting the tone for everyone else's experience,
right? And for them to show up and be able to step into their own dominance, but there's still a leadership role you have above that. Yeah.
So dominance for me is presence and it's responsibility. Like, take out all the ego stuff of oh, like she got the outfit on. Like, take all that out, right? Even take out some of the skill as well, because you do have to have skill in certain elements of domination. But it's the responsibility of taking that role. That's why when I see people just throw that word around, like, you're like, you just woke up today and you're already calling yourself a pro dom. No, you're not.
Which automatically tells me everything I need to know, because you haven't even taken responsibility for self.
No.
So you're not ready. Yeah. But it's, so we see a lot of that, especially in the social media world, where anybody could put anything in their bio, and most people won't question it. And if they wanted to vet it, they wouldn't even know how or where to start. I find, like you said, they're coming to you looking for direction. And so unless you come across someone who is an S-type or a sub, who already understands this life, you have the ability to lead someone completely down the wrong path.
Exactly.
So with that responsibility, I agree with you. It's a huge thing. And it's an aura. Like if you have a dominant presence, you'll notice when you go certain places, people have a certain response to your existence.
Exactly.
Too. So I agree on that. Now with the responsibility, I think that heavily comes into a play with the consent part. Now, I think a lot of people think this is a free-for-all.
Nope.
And I want to bust that misconception and help them understand the structure around it, because there's such a big divide between this world and everyday life, when most of the things I find, I don't know about you, but I feel like it's a lot of overlap. It's like people in their everyday life who think they're vanilla and they say, oh, I'm just looking for a way to spice it up. Then it means you're not comfortable with vanilla, because spicing it up is taking it beyond the vanilla, right? But they just using a different term. So when it comes down to the responsibility and the consent, what kind of conversations does that look like when you're screening potential people to even, not even just work with, but scene with, all of those types of things? Because not everybody is also your client. Not everybody's just up. Right? And I think that it's just because a person's saying, I want to do X, Y, and Z for you, or whatever, people don't realize, no, you have to screen both ways.
Yeah, I send some people straight to the spam folder sometimes. Bye. I think for me, the biggest thing with vetting for me is if they don't have boundaries, that's a red flag for me.
Oh,
everybody has a boundary. I don't care how freaky or kinky you think you are, how insane you might, or whatever, or how much of a masochist you are. Everyone has boundaries. So for me, when a submissive is like, you can do whatever you want to me, I don't have any boundaries, I'm like, you're someone I don't want to play with.
Yep.
because now not only is it dangerous for you, it's dangerous for me as well.
Because you don't actually know when where the line is to know when it's being crossed. And what people don't, I don't think people think about this. I think this applies to regular relationships too. Because you go forth with a person and everything is all good until it's not. It's like, I'd rather be of the space of knowing what to expect or what you may be triggered by or any of those types of things than to potentially just stumble upon a trigger midway through something and now I have a whole yes, you don't know how baby mental health is a real thing. So, but that also comes into what you said earlier about how when you first went about exploring sex, it was more so about what they want, not necessarily what you want. I don't think a lot of women have taken the time to be like, I need to understand what my body likes on my own, not based on how this or not being the best head giver or being, whatever the case is. And I think those two things. So if you don't show a responsibility for self,
right.
So aside from boundaries, I think that's a huge one. That's actually a big one because it's like you need to go learn more about yourself and then come back later. But are there any other significant things that you feel like tell you like this person is not good for my energy, my space,
I think the clients potential clients that come to me and they're just immediately just firing off the compliments of how like you're beautiful, you're sexy, you're this and that. I want to kiss your feet, because when potential clients come to me, I ask them, my first question is, why do you want to serve me? And when they come back with something very generic such as you're beautiful, you're sexy, I like your body, I'm like, no. Why do you want to serve me outside of that? Right? Why are you trusting me with your body? What do you know about me? What have you learned about me? Because a lot of them like to say, I've been following you for so long. I'm like, great. So what have you learned about me and my style that made you want to email me and trust me? Because I want to know, because trust is a two-way street in this. What makes you trust me? And in the beginning of my career, don't get me wrong, when I was younger, I took the subs that was like, you're beautiful, I just want to kiss your feet, blah, blah, blah.
But you didn't know what you didn't know.
Exactly. And it's survival sex work and you're doing whatever you're doing. But now, since I've been in it longer, it's like I value quality over quantity. I want to know why exactly you want to be in a room with me, releasing your inhibitions, giving me your trust, giving me your body. Like, I want to know why you want to do that specifically with me.
And you know what's so crazy about that when I think about it? First of all, and now let me give some separation. There's pro-domination, like you said. There's also people who simply as a lifestyle live in this world, right? And I'm more on the lifestyle than anything, although I've toggled the other side, right? And I think that separation is important because when you go about this as a way of lifestyle, some of those submissives are not clients. These are people who are literally, you're growing this relationship and establishing it going forward. And it depends. We have had Slave Sunflower, a couple of people on here. So you guys have heard about different types of S-types, even though there are far more. Bottom line being that when you are in a lifestyle capacity, now you're a part of my world.
Right.
And like you said, that responsibility for me, I'm one of those people who I feel like, like you said, not only do I have the responsibility of your body and scene and X, Y, and Z, but psychologically, a lot of stuff can go wrong with people trying different kinks and X, Y, and Z, and not knowing a lot about what you've been through. I've definitely been in scenarios where I've had a dynamic with someone who, in the beginning, not that many flags.
Right.
But then you start to and I vet for a while, like it's 6-month consideration window. And then within those 6 months, I'm going to find out who you may or may not be. But to the point of what you're saying, I have a responsibility to just not just protect you, but I got to protect me, everything that I've worked for, built for. I don't need you walking out of here saying I did anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that there's a responsibility both ways if you are investing in yourself. Now, with that being the case, do you find that you only work this on a pro-domination side more so than anything? Or do you feel in your personal life you've ever seen a life down the road where you would incorporate someone on a more continuous basis?
I would say over the years I've had both.
Okay.
So I've had those standalone clients or clients that only come for sessions and that's it. I've also had slaves. I've owned slaves. I've had subs that have become errand boys. I have subs that become, every time I have an event, they're my boys there for demos. I've had subs that when I'm shooting content, they know to come for content. I've had subs that I've sat down and I've had dinner with like a friend. You get what I'm saying? So I've had both, but when you're pro, you try to have not as much of the just all lifestyle. You
Right.
get what I'm saying? Because when
Right.
you're pro, you're approaching the space in a different aspect.
Yeah.
On a different
And
level.
it's a different attachment or lack
Exactly.
of attachment too.
Exactly. Because I've had clients just in pro that I had a client just in pro that became more like lifestyle, but then it just got a little murky because then he wanted to go on romantic dates and started wanting to date me. And I'm just like, okay, so this is
now
why,
this is my boundary.
Yeah, this is why I keep y'all on this side, because the thing is, I mean, I'm Aquarius. I know we a good time. Like, I know I am probably the most interesting person in
But
their
you
life,
also probably ain't gonna give a damn as much as that.
Right. No.
And you know what's so funny? Because I think this is probably why I do vibe with Aquarius as well, where Pisces people are more attached, right? The thing is, if we ain't attached, we really don't, like, it's uncomfortable to me to have you, you got to be somebody I want in this space.
Right.
But again, to the point or the tune of, like, me, if I step into that mindset or that persona, I can detach.
Right.
And like you said, you know that you have a thing about your personality they're going to love.
Right.
And now it's like, it's not that though.
Yeah.
So I can understand that. Now, a reason why I wanted to go down this angle, and now we're going to get to some other stuff, is because this platform is obviously with Bedroom Candy. Now, Bedroom Candy's company or clientele, on average, is a pretty vanilla person for the most part, who may be stepping into or getting an introduction, which is why even some of our kink accessories are very beginner friendly. Like, try this. If you like it, you might be more into something else. But I was really thinking about, we've had Masturbation May and talking about this in the past, and it's always been directly about just, now, don't get me wrong, we're going to talk about clitorises. But it's always it's just been that. So, hold on. Let me grab this, for example. It's always been that. So, like, you see this paddle is very, very not to be intimidating. And when I would do parties back in the day, because it's been a little while since I've been in those streets. But just having this on the table, on average, if I had 20 women in the room, 12 to 15 walked up to it.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, it's one of the first things they grab, even before a toy, even before this. So the curiosity
is there.
It's there. But I find that there is always that intersection of how other people are going to view it potentially. If you are there, even in the room, they're scared to sometimes say something like, tell me about that or whatever, because somebody else in the room, they're worried about the judgment. Okay. So we start off with this simple one to go. This is one side that's a little softer. This side has, you can feel, you know how to play with these things. But that has a little it got a little sting to it. That's a little more thuddy, right? So we wanted something that was going to do that, and I'll ask them, hold it. Tell me how it feels in your hand. Just hit your own self. You ain't got to hit nothing else. First thing they want to do is smack a butt or whatever, and I'm like, no. Do that first, because you need to know what it feels like.
Yep.
And what ends up happening is it always opens up this world of conversation where they're not realizing what signals or signs in their everyday life might be an indication that, you know what, maybe I like a little bit more than just the basic.
Right.
And I usually could spot them off of this one little test. So for you, when you come across women who the curiosity's there, but they're scared to, like, test the waters, right? What are some of the things that, one, you notice in them, like their characteristics or personalities, but also what would you recommend to a woman who had curiosity and she didn't know where to start?
So one thing I do notice, even at my events when I have stuff laid out, sometimes I notice, I can always see a timid person or a timid woman by how they walk up to me. So sometimes they walk up real tight.
Oh, and they kind of
holding themselves a little bit. Or they're looking around a lot. Or I'll see them kind of just keep glancing at me but not wanting to come over. Or they'll just they'll look at the stuff, but they'll be looking at it kind of like it's something scary. Like they're kind of leaning over like this.
But still got that shoulder.
Right. Instead of walking up on it, they're like, and I'm like, it's okay, touch it. Like, see how it feels or whatever. Usually you can see from that just
that's true
expression on their faces. Their eyes get big. And I had to learn throughout my career, I had to learn to hold space for those type of women. Because when I first started out, the younger me, I was like, what? This ain't nothing. Like, come on, this simple, this basic. Like, you come into a dominatrix. Like, I used to be like that in my mind. Like, I kind of used to be like, why are you here if you're not open or whatever?
Right.
But as the years went on, I was like, no, because everybody starts from somewhere. And I don't know that person's personal triggers and traumas. Something could have happened with them with a paddle or something that I don't know about. So that's the first thing that I noticed. And then When it comes to, I think your second question was
like once you notice it, but they are curious and now they're coming over to ask that question. What are some of the ways that you might introduce a person to like, let me help you walk through this door just a little bit to kind of let them feed their curiosity so they can make a determination for themselves about whether this is something they like or not, because you might be curious, but it doesn't mean it is for you.
Yeah. So usually what I'll do is similar to what you said, try it on yourself, you know, and I try to be very welcoming. I try not to be too like bold, like, give me your hand, give me whatever. I'm like, you want to try it? Like, touch it. It's not that bad or whatever. Or I'll even show them in front of them on me. I'll be like, look, like, this is how it feels. Like, one side has a thud, one side has a sting or whatever. And then they'll usually try it. And then another part that works really good, I almost always have a actual submissive.
Oh, there.
So we'll use that demo boy and be like, he consents to you using it on him. And I'll be like, you consent? He'll be like, of course, goddess, or whatever. And then they use it on them. And for some reason, from using it on their hand to using it on the actual submissive, they wake up.
It's a power. It's like automatically you feel it.
And then they're that woman towards the end of the event when I just let the women like practice on the men. They're the one I'm seeing over there going hand. I'm like, see,
you had some things inside.
Yeah, and sometimes too they have to see other women doing it, right? So like that's why I like that my events are a good mix of veteran doms and newer ones, right?
Okay.
The veterans will also come in, so it just doesn't completely lay on my shoulders.
It's like almost like initiation.
Exactly.
You can
so
kind of
come in. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And you know what I like about that too? You got different dom personalities, and so I remember when I first started hearing certain names for stuff, I was like, what in the hell? I think actually, I forget what event I was at. Someone told me, you're a mommy type, and then I'm like.
That goes back to what I said. People will try to put a
title on you. And I'm just like, and when now me knowing today, I know I have that in me.
Right.
But I only have that for people I care. Like it's got to be established. Like mommy type means that I'm going to have patience and more time. And not to say that I don't have that for people in general, but it's a different level.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But actually at one of the Fed events, that was the second time someone said it to me, and they was like, yeah, I don't know, I'm just getting all of this mommy energy. And I'm just like, because I don't know how to say this, but my relationship to you is not the same as it would be to a sub. So you only gonna get this energy because this is my general who I am. I care for the people around me. That's who I am. But you're right. They put a label on you, and so I feel like being in a room with different types, you can see that dominance helps. Yeah. And you know what's so funny to those same women. And I would say this to any woman who's watching this episode, there is a range. There's a scale. I almost say like kink is almost like a spectrum, just like autism. Like not everybody is hardcore. Not everybody likes certain things. And that's why with the boundaries, you have to kind of get in and explore where those lines drop. So sometimes most of y'all are so used to seeing the most extreme forms. And I don't think that anything mainstream media, anything is not the best representation of what it actually looks like. Because 9 times out of 10, those things are curated by people who are not really a part of the life or anything like that. And it gives it a different stain. Like for I think most individuals in it, you see that this is actually more of a structured community than even some of my regular relationships in the past. Like I feel like I learned more in vetting about a person than I realized. Yes, I'm like,
and now you're taking those same questions.
Back when you dating, you're like, wait a minute, I never thought to ask this to someone. Yeah, vetting taught me a lot about like the kind of stuff you might want to know about a person before you step into it. So, but conversation is about getting off, and I want to understand what about power gets you off.
I think for me, when I walk into a session and I see a man just on his knees waiting for me, because one of my rules is that when I'm done getting dressed and I come out the room, you need to be on your knees with your head down waiting for me. And I think just knowing that amount of power of where they don't know what I'm gonna do next, they be nervous, they be anxious. Like I've truly gotten wet off of seeing that.
Just seeing
that. Just seeing that waiting, just seeing that not speaking until I tell them to speak. Just seeing that like they just want to be perfect for me, right? Because all the time we're taught as women to be perfection for men, right? But seeing that they're like nervous about me and want to be perfect for me and don't want to screw it up because they know if they screw it up, they're not seeing me again. That power alone has
has done it for you.
It turns me on.
It's so crazy when you think about it from that perspective. But what you just said, normally it's you trying to be perfect, a woman trying to be perfect for the guy. You know, and now that I think about that, I'm thinking about like back in the day, you know, you have somebody coming over and the way you would get yourself ready for that person. Now in your situation, it's almost like it's the reverse. They're the ones sitting there on anxiety, hoping that when you walk in, you're pleased with whatever you're seeing. So, okay.
Yeah. And it's still, you know what, that kind of still translates in my personal relationships, because in my personal sex life, I'm very extra. So I like to get dressed up. I like to turn on the music. I have a full dance routine ready. Like I am that person.
Not a dance.
I am like, I'm very big on visuals, colors, lighting, everything with my partner. So if I know my person's coming over and we about to have a good night, I turn off all the lights, put the red
very
lights on.
exhibitionist.
I tell them to sit on the couch and wait for me. I go get dressed. I walk out. I know what music I'm coming out. Like all of that. I'm extra. I have the song playing and everything. Like I am extra. And that's
why is that making me laugh is because you know how when you go book for shows and they actually like, is there any song you want to walk into? Not the walk into song.
Yeah.
From home. I am not.
And I tell them
I'm not mad at it. Press play. I'm stepping in. I'm stepping in.
I'll be like, in 5 minutes, press play. And in 5 minutes exactly, I'm coming out. And that turns me on too. So I'm just, but in the bedroom, it's a little bit different because I start off like that and then I let them take
You know
control.
what's so funny because I'm sorry. I think about my brattiness because there's a side of me too who I'll just stand there and I'll be like, I need you to undress me. And I'm literally, it's too hard. I can't reach that. Like, I'm such a little prissy bitch in that moment. Yeah. But I can understand a theme music and everything because there are certain songs that get you in your space and you just feel a certain way when you hear it. I play them a lot in my car. Like if y'all catch me on a good day at a light, I'll be giving them
that'd be me.
Show.
One time I had to stop myself one time at the light because I'm literally on the steering wheel like humping the steering.
Yes, and I caught up. They on the corner looking at me, and I'm like,
oh. Okay.
Have a good day, y'all. Right. I'm definitely don't catch me in the summertime and let it be like the season where the soca stuff is going. I done had a little vibe going in there. Yeah. I definitely be facing everything and then remembering where I'm at later. Not a thing for. I'm definitely good for a people watcher. If you want a people watch, I'm gonna give you a show unexpectedly.